Hi, this is Darla Kirchner with Creative Biz School, and I'm so excited to have my dear friend and colleague, Emily Petroff, on the call today with us. Emily is the owner of Evolve and is an awesome relationship coach. She works with women entrepreneurs and men entrepreneurs all over, and I'm so excited to have you on the call today, Emily. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for us to talk today, and I always love learning from you. And every time we have one of these conversations, it's so reciprocal. So I love it. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's always, I love to collaborate, as you know. Emily, actually, we met a couple years ago on a conference, and I don't know, if anyone has read if you've read my blog with Emily. I actually blogged about it, I think, when I came out to Montana to visit you, and we started collaborating then. So it was an instant bonding connection, and I just love being with you and working with you and collaborating with you all the time. So yay.
Yes, it was so fun. I loved having you out here, and highly beneficial for me to learn some of the branding things that I can do, some of the graphic. You have so many great little tips and tricks that I still am, trying to continue to learn more and more and more about every day. So it was fun. It was a really good trip.
It was definitely mutually beneficial. The only thing I have to say, the next time I come out, my daughter has to come with me, because she's already told me, she's like, Mom, if you go to Montana again, I have to come with. So
okay, well,
when we get that planned,
we'll make room for her for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So Emily is going to be talking, since we're talking about the beginning of the year and we're starting things out fresh. I wanted to start out on the right foot, and there's no one better than that I could think of that would be awesome to talk about starting the year out and being on the right foot, and about your being in the right relationship with yourself and with your business. And so I just wanted to have you on, and if you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, that would be probably a good place to start.
Okay, great. So I think for me, I have owned several businesses. I think I'm up to 11 now. So I am a serial entrepreneur. Grew up in a very entrepreneurial household. Both of my parents owned their own business. My grandparents owned their own business. My aunts and uncles. I mean, it was very, the thing that I knew how to do from a very young age was run a business. So knowing the trials and tribulations that you go through and you experience as a business owner, on both sides, in the business as well as at home, and it can be, as I think everybody has experienced, extremely challenging. When you talk to entrepreneurs, no matter how successful they are, they have experienced those ups and downs, those peaks and valleys, and so I think just a little bit about me. That's sort of my background. Is I'm super passionate about building small business, and I really understand what it's like to go through those ups and downs, and how important it is to stay connected to the goal and the mission. I think it's easy sometimes when 2014 was a rough year for a lot of people that I've talked to. They're very, very glad to close the door on that. And so, I think sometimes we get bogged down by we've been kicked over and over and over again, or it feels like. Yeah. And I think when we take a step back and look at the bigger picture, it helps us to get excited, kind of reignite the spark, so to speak. That's my program, by the way. It's called Reignite the Spark in yourself and in your business, and you can realign with your goals and what it is that's important to you. And so for me, as much as I love building small business and as much as I'm passionate about business, one of the things that I had to really look in the mirror and realize and recognize, and this is a recent transformation for me, is that my gift really lies in relationships. And so as you were saying, the relationship with yourself is so important, and the relationship with your spouse or your partner is so important, and the relationship that you have with your business and where you're going is so important. And I think sometimes we are taught, not on purpose, but not to connect those worlds together. It's like we own businesses. Most business entrepreneurs that I know started their business so that they could have more flexibility, more freedom, more time with their family, more, and not be student to somebody else's or a slave to someone else's goal. And yet at the same time, we end up not connecting our personal life with our business. And so for me, I think it's embracing that we bring our personal stuff to work and we take work home every single day.
Yes.
And how to really feel good about that and sort of keep it in check, so to speak. So that's why, for me, I love coaching entrepreneurs, because I understand the things that they're up against. And not that I can't coach other people that are just maybe working for someone, but I love coaching entrepreneurs in relationships because I know what they're up against and the challenges that they go through. So, so I do a lot of work on, I'm a strong believer that if your business is flourishing, but your relationships are in wreckage at home, you're not going to be fulfilled. Your productivity goes down considerably. When I had a breakup, I was not very productive, and vice versa. If things at home, there's trouble there, and kind of some breakdown in the communication, it's hard for you to focus on the business. And if the business isn't doing well, but everything is okay at home, again, you're still not fulfilled. So it's very important, I think, to build that bridge between those two lives. So. And
you're very right. And the thing of it is too is that a lot of entrepreneurs, like ourselves, work at home. So trying to divide that, it can be challenging, because and we're hard workers. So we'll work until it gets done. And so there's that whole thing about setting some boundaries and being productive during the right time, so that you can then find that family time and all of that stuff too. So I'm excited about where you are evolving, and I know how much you've helped me. Even like before, I went out to Montana, and afterwards you have been a coach to me, and so I'm just very excited about where you're evolving with your business too. So one of the things I want to ask you is if there's a few tips that you would share with our community of busy entrepreneurs that are just like us. If you give us a couple of tips on what could they do to kind of help set up some foundational things to be in a better place, to start building that bridge.
Sure, absolutely. I think often when we do strategy at the beginning of the year, we sit down with ourselves, or maybe, you and I might have a little Skype session where we talk about our business and, what we're up against, and, okay, what are our goals for this? I think we've actually had this conversation twice already this year. It's like, what are you doing this year? How's it going? Sometimes we don't necessarily involve our person. We don't involve our I don't know, you probably have a very good open communication with your husband, but how involved are so this would be the first question that I would encourage entrepreneurs that are part of your community to ask themselves: how involved in what you're doing is your family? Are they engaged and enrolled in your goals? And if they're not going to be supportive of it, and maybe that they're not supportive, but imagine how supportive they might be if they really understood where it was that you were trying to go and why you were trying to go there. Yeah. That is so important. So, almost like a little, you don't have to go into great detail. They don't maybe understand exactly, they don't need to know all of the nuts and bolts, but to have kind of a little family meeting and to sit down and to say, okay, guys, this is really what I want to do with the business this year, and it's going to allow us to do this and this and this, so that they understand that the reason you're doing it is so that you can have more quality time with them, or so that you can, have amazing experiences, travel, whatever it might be, but really inviting them into the mission, the vision, the painting that picture for them, because then when you're sitting at your computer at
11:30 at night,
whatever it might be, they are more understanding, and they're like, oh yeah, she's doing this because we're going to Europe, maybe, or whatever.
And that's so true. I think it's like going back to like, what's your why? And sometimes you have it in here, or you have it in your heart, but I think it's so important to tell your significant others, to tell your family, because they don't always see the big picture. It's all in here. So I think that is such a very crucial tip, and I'm going to be doing that tonight. Actually, it's the weekend, so I'm going to be sharing that tonight because I'm very lucky and very fortunate to have a very supportive husband and a very supportive family. But I don't think I've ever really shared with them. I've talked to you about it, but I don't think I've ever shared with them. Probably to Joe. I mean, this is my why, but not into detail. So that's a great tip. That's a great tip.
And the other thing I think that helps with is that if they know that on a large, big picture level, when you're beaten down at the end of the day, week, month, quarter, whatever it is, and you didn't maybe get as far as you wanted to get, and there's no one to really remind you, I think sometimes they can step in and go, hey, wait a minute. Remember when we sat down and we talked about this is why you're doing this? Like, this is important to you. And you go, oh, yes, you're so right. It is. Oh my gosh.
That's really true. It's like I just did a whole thing on, I don't believe in resolutions, so I did a whole blog post. I've got a whole freebie class that's finding your one word for the year, and my word is mindset. And so I need to plaster it back here, so that, and I'm finding quotes about mindset, and so now I shared that with Joe. Actually, he gets my blogs, and so he reminds me, remember your mindset. I'm like, oh right.
The second tip that I would say in regard to this, sort of staying on this same page, is after you've kind of got them and bought in and engaged and enrolled in what you're doing, I think the second thing that is important is to set really small, achievable, goals that you can celebrate. Sometimes we have these really big picture goals, but a lot of times our goals are attached to changing our behavior. And so when we're trying to change a behavior, I was 300 pounds at one point, and so I attribute a lot of behavior change. People can understand if you've ever had a struggle with weight, or someone who's struggled with weight, it makes this really easy to understand. So I'm going to use that sort of analogy. Okay. So when you're trying to change that behavior of, okay, I'm 300 pounds and I don't want to be 300 pounds anymore, I'm going to lose, 100 pounds. Okay, great and fine that's the big goal up here, but we got to really break it down into bite-sized pieces, because otherwise what happens is, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but I've experienced this, you go, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it by, I'm going to work out every 5 days a week, and I'm going to eat, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. So you have this great plan in place to achieve this big, huge goal, and week one you're like, woohoo, and you're on the treadmill, and you're got your music, and you're just cooking right along, and then week two you're kind of like, okay, okay, and then week three you're kind of like, F this, I am out, my kids are skipped school, and this happened, and that happened, and it's too hard, my life isn't conducive to this, and all of a sudden, that week three is huge in that behavior change, and so we have to stay recommitted. And so I really, or not stay recommitted, we have to stay focused on and or recommit constantly and consistently. And so if we can set smaller goals that, so for the month, instead of, yes, it's 150 pounds, but maybe for the month it's 5 or 7 or 10 or whatever that might look
achievable.
Like for you. Yeah, so that there's something to celebrate, and a way for you to, instead of falling off the wagon and then going and eating the cake and the Doritos and here we are now 3 months later, and now we've gained another 10 pounds. And we're just like completely like, oh, this is just too hard, I'm not going to get there. I think it's like, to think about it in regard to, well, maybe I didn't get to the 10 pounds, but I got 7, I'm that much closer to the 150, versus saying, oh my God, I'm so far away from the 150, I can't possibly get there. So I would say, chunk it down to really small things that you can celebrate on a consistent basis. I think we don't do a very good job of celebrating. We beat ourselves up constantly and consistently for every darn little thing.
Yes, and that's a whole other thing. I mean, that's honestly a third tip, because we are hard on ourselves. I think, speaking as women, we're typically very hard on ourselves. So it's, you're trying not to do that. And you actually taught me that, is when you have, a negative self-talk, to jot it down and to offset it with something positive, something great that just happened. So, and that really did help me establish a better mindset with myself. So, great tips. Honestly, really great tips. And I think there's some things that can apply to anyone. One of the things that I have been doing, and I know you and I have talked about this a little bit, is really chunking things down. Yes, I have this overlining goal for the year, but I'm not focusing on that. I'm focusing on 90 days. And then within those 90 days, I'm focusing in 2-week task.
Right.
And trying to set things up so that I'm achieving those tasks. And I love checklists. So,
yes.
And me and my Evernote. So I stick it in there and I check it off. So,
yes.
Yeah, I think that's great. So here's my next question is, what have you been working, since this is kind of applicable, me with my whole visual thing, what has been your strategy for creating visibility and marketing? I know you're really great at marketing yourself and your business. So have you any new strategies or anything that has really worked for you that you'd like to share with us?
Call Darla.
Well, that was perfect, but I really...
I know that you have a couple of different types of folks that you work with,
mm-hmm.
but I happen to fall into that category of I dabble a little bit in the do-it-yourselfer kind of thing, but I don't really, it's not the best use of my time to
Absolutely.
be doing those things. I need somebody, I need to be able to call Darla and go, this is what I need, okay, go. And that alleviates so much stress from needing things to look great, and to be able to make my brand reflect what I know people get in value from the work that I'm doing with them, and so I think I love you just sent me a new package yesterday, I think it was, or the day before. And so we need to have a whole conversation around that.
After
I think that is new for me to a certain extent, because a lot of my stuff prior, I'm great at promotion, and I'm great at getting people engaged and enrolled in a sales conversation, so I don't have any problem selling things. But when it comes to, and the other thing that I think is unique to me is that, all of the businesses that I've owned have been brick and mortar in my local community, and so building the bridge to online is very different. And the flyer that needs to be put out to showcase and promote is different online than it is, say, at a chamber event when you go network. And so, those two things, that's a new thing for me in the last year or two, kind of really going into this online world. And that's where I think, for me, I'm learning a lot from you about not only, I think the other thing that's cool about it is, like, once you put the time and effort into creating it, you can utilize it and repurpose it in a lot of different ways. And so that to me is, and just the tips and tricks that you've given me, I love using word swag and playing around with it. In fact, some people get onto Facebook and they get their time sucked from hanging out on Facebook too long. I end up being in word swag, messing around with that stuff. I'm like,
oh, I know.
Graphics, and I really went there just to create one thing. So, so that part for me has been fun, but I also think that there's a lot of relief for me mentally and physically, emotionally, from just being able to utilize somebody else's gifts and skill set that aren't mine,
Yeah, and that's something I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially DIYers or beginner entrepreneurs or people that solo entrepreneurs, you're so used to doing it all, of wearing all these different hats. It takes a while to finally let go of some of that and realize you need to focus on where your gifts are, and and hire the right people, work with the right people that will help envision what your goals are for your brand. Because when you're online, especially, when you're locally, you are the face. You could be right in front of them. When you're online, you have seconds of time to get their attention and to to get them to understand what you are all about, and to be to share your story. And visually is the best way of doing it. I mean, hands down. Of course, that's I know that. So anyway, so thank you for that. And
I think it goes right into leverage, right? I mean, as an entrepreneur, and especially as an entrepreneur online, when you're creating products for your community, those are assets. And so instead of buying a fleet of vehicles or gosh, I don't, whatever it might be that you would in a brick and mortar buy to be an asset for you that's going to make money. That concept is really challenging, I think, for a lot of entrepreneurs that are getting started, or at least for me. Coaching, I'm a great coach. I'm a rock star one-on-one coach, but I have to plan ridiculously well to be able to take a vacation, because if I'm not coaching somebody face to face and I don't have products on my website or that someone can purchase, I'm not making money. And so, having them look the way that I want them to look and be pretty and beautiful and again, represent my brand, I think that's where that comes in. But it's about leveraging your time. I mean, Absolutely. It's so important. And I think that I just read this article the other day where this entrepreneur said, I get more done now that I have 30 employees than I did when I had 10. Wow. And so it seems strange that the more people you add, you would have more things. But he's like, it really is, the bigger the organization got, the more productive I became, because I let go of some of those things that weren't a gift for me, and I had somebody else being able to do that. And so I think that it's important to really look at, you think you can't afford it, right? We sit back and we're pinching pennies and we're stealing from Peter to pay Paul, and that whole cash flow issue that I think a lot of business owners understand and have gone through and stay awake at night thinking about. But you can't. It's not like you can't afford not to do it, right? You can't afford to be spending your time on something that you could outsource to somebody else who could do it lickety split. Yeah. And but yet at the same time, we expect other people to hire us to do those things. So I think sometimes our expectations are a little bit out of alignment, and I think we need to really look at, maybe you're not going to hire 10, 20, 30 people, but when you outsource something, even to edit or to copyright or to whatever, you're really utilizing your time to the best of your ability. And I think that's really, really important. For me, that was my goal this year, is to let go of some things, not try to learn it all, have a basic understanding and a concept about what it is that needs to be done, but really trying to find the cash flow, find the opportunities so that I can pay somebody else to do those things, so that I can really focus on creating assets, those products for that are going to be out there forever making money for me. Right.
And it also helps, because that's your gift. I mean, when you're focusing on your gift and your why and the whole Brit, I think there's a lot to be said about that. I mean, it's leveraging your time, and time is something you can't get back. Right. And I find too, one of the things I'm really becoming acutely aware of is this productive time or busy time? I think they're so there, and I try, when I find myself yours is word swag, mine is Pinterest. So I get on there, and I know a lot of other people do that, or it's Facebook or whatever it's just busy work. It's like, okay, stop, get back to focus. And so, so I think those are great tips. Thank you for that. And okay, so I know I want to be conscious of your time here too. So me, and I'm all about quotes. So I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite quote that you have that you'd like to share with our community today?
I think one that is, I'll share one of my favorites from somebody that I highly value, and Jim Rohn really resonates with a lot of, I really love a lot of his stuff, and one of the things that always has stuck with me that he says is, someone else's opinion of you does not have to be your truth. And I think that is so applicable in our business life, right? And in our relationships with our significant other. I mean, sometimes, frankly, their opinion just doesn't matter. I mean, that sounds harsh, but sometimes they don't understand. Sometimes they don't get it, and sometimes I really teach to follow your intuition and to really, really gut check yourself on a regular basis and not doubt that everything you need to know is already right there within you. And so sometimes that external influence can be harmful, and you have to stay true to what you need to know. And so I think, on so many levels, that somebody else's opinion of you does not have to become your truth. It just sticks with me, and it's wonderful. And then one that I wanted to share. This isn't necessarily a quote, but for me, I kind of outline a goal with a little acronym. And so the G stands for oh my gosh, I just lost
growth.
Growth. Yes, thank you. Stands for growth. The O is for opportunities. So growth opportunities for action in your life. And so I think that, goals are great, but if we don't move our feet, there's not a lot, it ends up being a hope or a wish or a dream. And so I think when a goal becomes powerful, it's when you really put some action into it. And I think, and I really view goals as an opportunity. They should be a little bit painful and a little bit challenging, and they should take a little bit of, got to get up and go and really push myself to get this done. So it's a growth opportunity for action in your life.
I love that. And of course, I'll be having all that in our blog post. And I'll have a nice little pretty meme or image for us, and I'll share that with you so you can use it. So, okay, so then tell us what are you working on now? What are your goals for Evolve and for Emily?
Yeah, so right now I'm working on a program called Reigniting the Spark.
Love it.
And there's a lot of different things that are going to go in that. But for me, the thing that I'm really passionate about is helping entrepreneurs and executives, but mostly entrepreneurs, reignite that spark in their relationships with their partner. So if you've been married, or you've been with your spouse or your partner for a chunk of time, and you just find yourself going, what happened when we used to, and I wish we just don't have time for, and those kinds of things, that's something that I'm truly, truly passionate about. I love to be able to, and for years I've been doing Reigniting the Spark in your business without really even knowing that that's what I was doing, but I love to help people fall in love with their business again. I think you get, 3 to 5 years into your business, and sometimes it's like, what the hell am I even doing this for? And so I love to help people remember why they started it in the first place. And so taking this and applying it to the relationship side, I think has been really, really wonderful. And I'm super excited about this program, because I think sometimes you have to focus and you have to remember, why did I marry this person, or what made me, do this in the first place? And when you can get back in that space and have some real concrete tools one that I love is working on the relationship instead of in the relationship. So very similar to working on your business instead of in your business. So some really fun things that people can utilize while you're growing and building and developing this machine over here that hopefully is going to carry you into your legacy that you want to leave behind. You can still, don't leave your family behind, don't leave your partner, your significant other behind. Take them with you on that journey and build that relationship while you're building your business.
Oh, I'm so excited to see where this is going to evolve and grow, and I'm so excited to be a part of it and to know you and to consider you one of my good friends. I mean, honestly, this is awesome. And I think I know everything you do is successful, and and it's going to be something that people need to know. Because it really goes back down to, developing a good relationship, a good foundation with yourself and with the people that you care about the most, and then it kind of spills out into the other parts of your life, which for us entrepreneurs is our business, because that's our passion, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah. Absolutely. So this has been great, Emily. Thank you so much, honey, for coming on and sharing with us your expertise and all the things that you are so good at. And I'm so excited to have you on, and I'm sure you'll be on again, but I just wanted to say thanks again for being on the call and chatting with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I love having the opportunity to connect with you and to be able to learn and grow from you. And then also, if there are things that I can do to help add value to your audience and what you're creating, I'm am happy to do that.
Oh, well, it's already done. So I just can't wait for people to be able to see it, and I'm excited for them to listen and to learn from you. So thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.